Gotta say, that loss for the Colorado Buffaloes definitely hurt a little bit. I thought they had their chance with the Kansas State Wildcats.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is a very, very late recap of the Colorado Buffaloes loss to our live game post reaction. The Colorado Buffaloes lost to the Kansas State Wildcats. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. I am your host, Kevin Borba, as you guys know. Thank you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Oof. I mean, there's no other way to describe that loss than a painful one for the Buffs, right? I think you would agree, anyone would agree that they didn't play how they would wanted to against a Kansas State team that was quite vulnerable, I thought, heading into the game. Colorado was only 3.5 point underdogs once kickoff rolled around, and they, for the first time and forever, it feels like, they got off to an early lead, and that was kind of one of my keys to the game. Was Colorado gets on the board first and sort of forces Kansas State to have to play catch up. Well, Kansas State caught up, right? They caught up fairly quickly. They scored right away, and it was 7-7. And next thing you know, Kansas State takes another lead or takes a lead in the second quarter thanks to a Dylan Edwards touchdown run. And all of a sudden it's 14-7. And all of a sudden the Colorado Buffaloes just fell behind. And it was like there was missed tackles galore. I think that even though Kansas State's rushing attack wasn't, I mean, they've had better games, I guess you could say. This was not the Colorado rush defense that we had been seeing. At least I don't think so. DJ Giddens finished the game 25 carries, 182 yards with around 7.3 yards per carry. And realistically, Colorado just did not get enough from their defense, right? And I think there's a lot of issues that I saw. I think the main thing was the linebackers and the defensive line were simply not clogging rushing lanes and penetrating well enough. And so it was putting the secondary in a lot of one-on-one situations where they hadn't really been in those situations in the past few weeks. And I think the situation that everyone is well aware of, and we'll just get right to it, was Shiloh Sanders getting kind of shook out of his shoes by Giddens, where, I mean, tough situation to be in for Shiloh Sanders. You have one of the best running backs in the Big 12, if not the country, coming at you with a full head of steam, and he's got a move to make, and you're kind of on your flat-footed, right? And it's like, oh shoot, like where is he going to go? And just wasn't enough, right? And I think there was a lot of things that factored into this game. Travis Hunter, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Sorry, I had to make sure I didn't mute my mic. Travis Hunter got injured in the first half, and I mean, he leaves the game with just 3 catches for 26 yards, and Travis Hunter, and then just 1 tackle on defense. Travis Hunter, before this game, was his worst game on the year, was 7 catches for 89 yards last week against UCF, and that was still a Heisman caliber performance from Travis, right? Like, Colorado, I think, relies on Travis so much without even realizing they relied on him that, yeah, it got tough. And I think there was just a lot of things that didn't go their way. They took a late lead, which I thought they'd be able to hold on to. Colton Hood made a great play. Almost took, I think he was running too fast and tripped himself up. Almost took it back for a pick 6. And so Colorado takes let's see, at this point they take a 28-24 lead after 2 plays. And it's one of those things where I just thought, like, Colton Hood, interception, 59 yards. Colorado gets the ball back with 3 minutes and 51 seconds. So there wasn't, like, I think a lot of people would want to say you want to kill some clock right there. But at that point, you want to ride the momentum. So Colorado scores quickly. Well, Kansas State scored even quicker. They go 3 plays, 84 yards in 51 seconds. Avery Johnson found Jace Brown for 50 yards. He found DJ Giddens for 34 yards, and then the next play was a 50-yard touchdown. And so, yeah, Kansas State kind of took that lead quickly as it came, and then Colorado had a chance, and this is how Colorado's last drive went. It was you had pass to Dallin Hayden for 4 yards, waste of time, or burn the timeout, excuse me. And then you have an incomplete pass, and then false start on Phillip Houston, which pushes a 3rd and 6 at your own 29 to a 3rd and 11. And then obviously that sets that makes the defense's life easier. And then Shador finds Dallin Hayden for 6 yards, and then Shador tries to find Will Shepherd down the sideline. And, I thought pass interference could have been called. I thought it could have been called. Realistically, the way it was explained on the broadcast was because the ball, at least this is, I think, what they thought on the broadcast, because the ball wasn't really in play for Shepherd, they didn't call pass interference. I thought it could have been a pass interference call. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's a tough call to not get. At the same time, I know a lot of times in basketball, specifically football as well, you don't want the game to be decided by a crucial penalty. And so it's like, did the refs swallow the whistle on that one? We'll never know. It's one of those things where it's like, I thought there could have been a penalty. There wasn't. And so Colorado goes out and loses that game. And if you're one of those people who really thought they were going to win this game, which I was. I thought Colorado had a chance to make a statement. I thought they'd win this game, jump into the rankings. I think it's a tough blow, right? This was a statement opportunity. Colorado doesn't have a lot of ranked teams on their schedule. I think the Big 12 is cannibalizing itself in a way to where Colorado has one more ranked game on the schedule as of right now, and it's Utah. And honestly, Utah lost. And it wouldn't shock me if they drop out of the top 25 rankings because they look terrible against Arizona State. So this very well could be the last ranked team that Colorado plays. So for Colorado to sort of jump into the rankings and jump into whatever, you got to win. You got to win out, right? Like there's no other way around it. You can't continue to make these mistakes. Now, I don't want to say this was a bad game. I'll go over the positives because there were a couple positives, and I'll just do 3 things I liked, 3 things I didn't before we move on. 3 things I liked, starting with, Shador Sanders. Nearly perfect game, 34-40, 388 yards for 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, which I think that was a result of the offensive line letting pressure into his lap, which we'll just go into a thing I did not like right away. Offensive line play. 6 sacks. 3rd time this season that they've given up 5 or more sacks. And I think, let's see, Shador has been sacked a total of 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, 23 times in 6 games. So I don't think that's on pace to be as bad as last year. He was sacked, let's see, he was sacked 53 times or 52 times last year in 11 games. And it wasn't even so basically he was getting sacked on average 5 times a game last year. I think I said we're at 23 a game, or we're at 23 thus far through the season, and so that's 4 a game. So he's basically getting sacked 1 less time a game. So the offense line just wasn't good enough, right? I did not like what I saw from them. Shador Sanders was fighting for his life every single play, and it makes it hard. I think Shador Sanders is a great quarterback, but even the best players cannot do everything by themselves. And so I love Shador's performance. Did not like what I saw from the offensive line. Let's talk about the wide receiver core that stepped up. Omarion Miller, which he's injured, and Coach Prime didn't have an update for us after the game. He had 8 catches for 145 yards. I think Omarion Miller should be in the rotation. I don't know why he's not in the rotation as much. Like, I get there's more depth there. Jimmy Horn goes down with an injury, so this also leads to opportunity. I think one of the things that people criticize Coach Prime for is going after all these receivers. Well, now it's gonna work in their favor because they have so many guys who are able to step up. Because you had Jimmy Horn go down with an injury, Travis Hunter go down with an injury. So Omarion Miller went down with an injury. 8 catches for 145 yards. Liked what I saw from him. Will Shepherd and LeJontay Wester, they combined for 10 catches. 141 yards, I think it is. Let's see if I did the math in my head. We're going to see if that's right. 83 plus 58, 141. I can do math. Look at me go. So 141 yards and 3 touchdowns between the two of them. I think that this is a wide receiver group that I trust. Now, would I like to have Travis Hunter back? Yeah, obviously. Who wouldn't? But this group is good enough to sort of be is sort of good enough to continue to make plays. Like it's when they lost Travis Hunter last year, it was obvious that it hurt them. Let's go to a thing I didn't like, and I think a lot of you guys are talking about this in the comment section already. And I'm not trying to single him out because again, he has had great moments for this team. He's forced big fumbles. He's had a big interception last year. He's made big plays. But Shiloh Sanders tonight was the weak link on defense. And I think it's unfortunate because everyone's so excited for him to be back. You're so excited for the young man to return. He broke his arm against Nebraska week 2 and missed the last 3 games. And I don't want to read too much into it. I'm going to talk more with Dalton Wasserman of PFF and Scott Proctor, and I'm going to watch the game after all the film comes out. I don't want to look too much into it right now, but like the common factor, whatever it's called, I can't think of it because I'm so tired. The commonality or whatever it is, the common denominator, there we go, was that the defense was getting better without Shiloh Sanders. Now, Kansas State, I think, is the best team they've played this far. So there's also that. But Shiloh Sanders did not play well. Missed tackles galore, bad angles. Everyone's well aware. Sorry if you see me rubbing my eyes. I'm exhausted. I don't love these late kickoff games. I don't love them at all. I used to work for the Pac-12 network, so I remember Pac-12 After Dark being like a really cool thing in theory, and then all of a sudden when you have to work it, it's like, oh, I'm tired. And it felt like that again. But Shiloh Sanders got shook out of his shoes by DJ Giddens, and it just wasn't his best game. We've seen him play better. We'll see. I think he could bounce back. He's an experienced player. He's been in college for 6 years. He knows what he's doing, right? This just was not his game. So didn't love that. And then the final thing I liked was the effort. It's not really anything that you could quantify, I don't think. Colorado was down by 10 points going into the fourth quarter, right? I think that was a game where, it's 24-14 heading into the fourth quarter, and they quickly answer, or not quickly, but they go touchdown. Boom, Isaiah Augustive scores a touchdown. Then they get the ball back really quick after an interception. Boom, touchdown. Like, they had a lot of fight. They showed a lot of fight, and they kept it competitive, and I like that. I mean, it didn't go the way you wanted, right? And not everything in life does, but they showed a lot of fight. So you have to give them credit for that. It's like I said, Kansas State is a ranked team for a reason. They're one of the best teams in the Big 12. You can't hang your hat on or hold your head down or whatever the saying is. You can't be sad. If you see me like trying to find these sayings, just know I'm a little tired. And so if the sayings don't come to mind, I apologize. But you can't just be hung up on the fact that you lost this game. They tried their best. It wasn't good enough tonight. Sometimes your best isn't good enough tonight. But I think last year's team, had they gone down 10, last year's team probably would have given up. So I like the fight they showed. And then the final thing that I liked and disliked, I think the defense was a really big letdown. The run defense was atrocious, right? I think the run defense was something that I thought was really coming along, and they shut down UCF, and they looked really good in past weeks. And that's just not what we saw this week. And I also don't really understand. They knew what the plan was for Kansas State. Like, you knew this was coming. Kansas State executed well. It just didn't work out in their favor. So you guys let me know what you liked or did not like in the comment section. When we come back, I'm going to be talking about Travis Hunter. I think Colorado has a major decision to make about his future. And I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I do think it's an obvious, at least, discussion that needs to be had, because obviously he's one of the best players in the country, and losing him is a big deal. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and hanging out with me. It's this late hour, that game. I don't love the late hours at all, or the late hours. I don't love the late starts. I love the late hours. I love the grind, right? Don't love the late starts, though. It's like, why we got to do this? Red wine? What? I don't know what that means, but okay. Either way, let's talk about Travis Hunter, right? I've had this conversation before, and everyone always gets worked up. And I think this is another prime example of the Travis Hunter discussion. Do I think Travis Hunter is the best player in college football? Let me preface this, because I know a lot of people are going to take this the wrong way, and they shouldn't. Do I think Travis Hunter is the best player in college football? Yes. He is dynamic. He is a freak. The way he is able to not only be good at both things, but to dominate at both positions is something that I have not seen in my lifetime, right? The two-way position players that I grew up watching, which I may age some of you, I don't mean to. I'm 25. Miles Jack, running back / linebacker at UCLA. He was never able to be in the rotation at both. I think he was a better linebacker than he was a running back, and he wasn't always a star running back. I also think of like Adoree Jackson, who very good, wasn't a key contributor on both sides of the ball. Really good special teams. Champ Bailey. I think that's a bit of an older pool, right? He's not old, but more older than the guys I've been talking about. He didn't play both ways all the time. Charles Woodson did not play both ways all the time. What I'm getting at here is Travis Hunter is a special talent. I think it's great that Colorado wants to play him both ways. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. I'm saying that he should be on a pitch count. The more he is out there, the more susceptible he is to being injured. We don't know how many games he's going to miss. We don't know if he's going to miss a game at all. But let's just go over the facts, right? He missed 3 games last year with a lacerated liver. Dirty hit, I know. It's a part of football, right? Hits, he's going to get hit. Year before that, he missed 2 games at Jackson State. So Travis Hunter, and we don't know if he's going to miss time. So this is obviously a bit of an overreaction, but this is just a thought that I've continuously had, is I think they should pick and choose their spots with Travis Hunter. I think they have good enough receivers for him to not have to play every down on offense. And I think their defense of secondary, or specifically the corners, not this whole secondary. I mean, secondary is atrocious today. I think they have good enough corners to give him a break every once in a while. I don't think he needs to be out there every single play. And if he misses any time, not that this matters, because obviously I care more about his health, and I would love to see him back, and I don't want his college career to end on an injury. But like, you can't win the Heisman if you miss a game. If you're not a quarterback, you can't miss a game and win the Heisman. So hopefully he doesn't miss any games, because I do think he deserves the Heisman. I think the Heisman should go to the best player in college football, and to me, that's either him or Ashton Jeanty. And so if he misses a game, I feel like Ashton Jeanty, who's playing, I think they're still playing right now. Let me check. At the time of this being recorded, it's 11:52 Pacific time, and Boise State they just finished recently. Cool. Boise State beat Hawaii 28-7, and Ashton Jeanty had 217 rushing yards on 31 carries. So he had on 7 yards per carry. So Ashton Jeanty is continuously breaking big runs and showing that he's going to be a player in the Heisman race. This was actually his worst game of the season which is quite crazy. Yeah, wow. Imagine rushing for 217 yards and it's not like your best game of the season. But yeah, I think Travis Hunter, I think we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, he's been banged up before. Like, obviously, he's been injured before. And now he gets injured. I don't know what the injury was or what the extent was. I think it was a shoulder. I don't think he needs to be out there every single play. I think there's a way to use him smart, and I don't know if Colorado's doing it. Also, I saw something in the comment section that I wanted to address. This isn't related to Travis Hunter. This should have been one of the things I don't like. This should have been the one of my, I do not like this or did not like this. Dallin Hayden, I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen it at all this year. I'm going to be completely honest. I liked Michael Welch because Michael Welch and even Isaiah Augustov, I liked Michael Welch a little bit better. I think Michael Welch and Isaiah Augustov are better suited to make plays with how poor this offensive line is. Dallin Hayden, for whatever reason, is not making plays. And I don't think he should be the starting running back. I don't think he should be the main running back. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the rotation, but I don't love him being the main guy. Back to Travis Hunter. Sorry, I had to get on my little soapbox there. Travis Hunter, great player, phenomenal player. I think if he's healthy the rest of the year, he has a phenomenal chance at winning the Heisman. That being said, I don't think they need him on the field every game because I think that's a risk for him. I think that's a risk for his future. And realistically, this is a whole other discussion. Travis Hunter's durability is going to raise questions for NFL teams. And so I think he can play both ways at the NFL level, but I don't think someone will let him. I just think that's how the cookie crumbles. When we come back, we are going to talk about what's next for the Colorado Buffaloes because the season is far from over. They still control their own destiny. They're still in the Big 12 playoff, or they're still in the Big 12 race, and they're still in the race for the college football playoff. I'll elaborate more. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. They filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier. Gametime Picks. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, and theater near you, and comedy. They also have seat views, so you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and their lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. If this is your first time watching or listening to me, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, hang around for a little bit. We're almost at 6,000 subscribers. Let's get there. Be a part of something special. Let's talk about what's next. What we're looking ahead now. We're looking ahead for this Colorado team. Obviously, this isn't how you wanted to go out. I thought Colorado had a chance to beat them. I projected them to win 35-31. I got Kansas State score right. It's not Colorado's. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sorry, I was reading a wild comment from Tar Baby Yoda. So what is next for Colorado is they go to Arizona. Now, this Arizona team at the beginning of the year, I thought would be really good. They are not. I don't know if Jed Fish was making that much of a difference calling plays for Noah Fafita, but Noah Fafita was 26 of 52 with one pick with one touchdown and 3 picks to get today in a 41-19 loss against BYU. I like Colorado to beat them. Cincinnati's a frisky team. I don't think Colorado should have issues with them. They're not as bad as they were last year, but Colorado should beat them. Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech is improving. That one will be a shootout. I think it'll be air raid sort of versus air raid offense. And we'll see. May the best air raid win. And then Utah, if Utah plays like they did last night Friday night, they are no longer a contender for the Big 12. They looked atrocious. Cam Rising was hurt coming into the game and then got hurt during the game, and they let him play, and he looked terrible. Kansas looks terrible, and then Oklahoma State looks terrible. So realistically, plus this is Colorado's first loss in Big 12 play. Realistically, they have a chance. They could still get into the dance, right? You still have a chance to sort of go on a run here, make some moves in the Big 12 in the Big 12 race. Realistically, I'm looking ahead or look at the looking at the Big 12 standings right now. It goes BYU, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Arizona State, Cincinnati. I think Colorado should beat Cincinnati. Arizona State, I don't know. They don't have to play them, but Arizona State does have to play Oklahoma State, UCF, and Kansas State and BYU all in a row. And I think that could be a stretch that maybe derails their season. Kansas State, I think, was probably going to be one of the better teams, and it wouldn't shock me if they remain there. Texas Tech, I don't know how many. I don't really know what to expect from Texas Tech. They beat Arizona last time they played. They're on a bye week. They have Baylor. And so we don't know a lot about Texas Tech because they look so different every week. But I imagine they'll be somewhere in the mix. Iowa State and BYU, fun little story about them. They don't have to play each other, but Iowa State plays Utah, BYU plays Utah, and then Iowa State also plays Kansas State. So there's going to be a lot of things that can happen for Colorado to get into the dance. Great question, Bimbo Lewis. How many games do they need to win in to get into the dance? There's really not a set margin, right? You just have to be one of the top two teams in the Big 12. So, I mean, I would imagine if you lose, I would say losing 2 conference games right now is certainly a borderline elimination. Losing 3, you're 97% out. Unless the top tier of the conference completely cannibalizes itself, and then it's like, okay, you might have a 4-loss, you might have like a 3-loss conference team in there. But I would say 2 to 3 losses is probably where you draw the limit. And so Colorado only has 1 conference loss. So they control their destiny. I like what their schedule looks like for them. I think they have winnable games coming up. I don't think it's over. I just think they didn't play well tonight. And there's a lot of things that go into this. The offense line wasn't good enough. The run game wasn't useful enough. Defense was not where they needed to be. Yes, top 2 to get into the big dance. And obviously, if you win the Big 12, you're in the playoff. But first, they got to get to the Big 12 championship. But yeah, the defense didn't play well enough. The offensive line was, I mean, it's the same problems. And I think we're quickly learning that the portal method of just bringing in 5 new guys every year is not going to work. Who knew, right? I think the offense line is the one position in football where it's like they need continuity, they need to gel. But again, there's more time to improve. So Colorado controls their destiny. I don't think it's over for them. I liked certain things, didn't love everything, but I do know that I'm going to have you guys covered every single day over here on Locked On Buffs. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Share this with a friend. I appreciate all the support that you guys give me. We're really close to 6,000 subscribers. If you could get me there, I'd appreciate it. Give me 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. I appreciate all you guys. Hope all you guys have a delightful slumber because I think everyone deserves a nice rest. But have a great night. Tough loss for the Buffs. This has been Locked On Buffs. I will see you guys on Monday.